All right, we're at the top of the hour.
I'm ready.
I know, I'm ready too. I'm so excited. It is Appy Hour. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, Erin. Erin Stark from ADP is joining us today. So we're excited to have you on the show today. We're excited to hear more about ADP Run and the Accountant Connect product, which I am absolutely crazy about. So I can't wait for everybody to see all of the really great things, both in ADP Run's integration with QuickBooks Online, which has had a big refresh and upgrade, and the Accountant Connect product, which is just such full of lots of good, awesome things for accountants. So excited for that. And we're going to be talking today about what makes a great app partner. So, there's been a lot of discussion. Liz and I were actually talking about this last week of what makes a great app partner, and what makes you want to work with, with a technology company and really, and I love what you said when we were talking about it a little bit, Liz, about it being an extension of your practice. I love how you kind of talk about that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves and get started. Welcome to today's webinar or session of the Appy Hour. I'm Heather Satterlee. I have a firm in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and I focus on helping others learn and accounting technology. So I'm primarily focused on QuickBooks Online and third-party apps that work with QuickBooks Online. So I help companies adopt new technology and really build out their tech stack and then train their staff and get everything kind of humming along. So that is my my specialty. I'm also part of the Intuit training team. So I travel around the country, and we're actually on tour right now. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But we're on tour bringing you QuickBooks Online certification all over the U.S. right now. So, so that's just a little bit about me. Hey, everybody. I see a lot of my friends on the call, so I'm really happy for you guys to take some time out of your busy day to join us for a cocktail and talk QuickBooks and apps for an hour.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to say everything you said, ditto to it. And to say that this conversation is really relevant to our practices because we are using a lot of apps. We're suddenly becoming technology gurus. And so we need to be able to have apps that understand that we're accountants and bookkeepers first, but then we're being asked to work with technology. And so that extension, like you were saying, really matters to us, especially whenever customer support and onboarding. So very relevant conversation.
Definitely.
And so this month we have ADP that's here. So we're really, really excited to share our drink later and then also talk about their app partnership program. They have a lot of really cool things for accountants and bookkeepers. So that'll be later in the show.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm a huge fan. So
well, and I keep hearing you say that you're super excited, which makes me excited. I can't wait to see why is Heather excited? That's always big news.
Right.
Yes. So, yep. And then later on, it's like you said, we're going to be talking about the tour. So what things have we done this month? Dodging tornadoes and other states during the Intuit training.
Right. We're going to become the QuickBooks Tornado Watchers.
There should be an app for that.
All right. And so, dive in, Liz?
Yeah. So when we're talking about apps, one of the biggest things that we're doing in our firms and for our clients is trying to clean up or streamline a workflow. And so we hear that all the time, streamline your workflow. But if you have an app that's not a good fit, you also need to identify that that's not cleaning up your workflow or streamlining anything. All that's doing is just adding an app and adding an additional layer. So I think that we've all got to the point that we understand these apps are happening, so we're embracing them, but being able to then identify when it's a good fit and if it's not, where should it be a little bit different? And once you've had a couple of really failed engagements with apps, I think that helps you understand what to look for the next time. Don't you think that?
Absolutely. And I remember back in a couple years ago, I was traveling on a Firm of the Future tour with Ian Basin and Carla Caldwell. And Ian actually said it best. He said, when you're employing technology, because that's really what we're doing, we're employing technology, right? Is that you need to figure out what job is it going to do. And so you need to understand the workflow and what that app, what purpose that app is going to serve in your workflow and in your firm and whatever process that you're trying to automate. And so I think that is just what you said, when you're choosing a good app partner and a good app for your business, it should be solving a pain point in your business. It shouldn't be adding work, and it should be bringing additional value both to your firm and to your client. So you should never start off by saying, okay, this is an app that I absolutely have to have. It should always be, there's something in my practice, there's something with my client's workflow that isn't quite working as efficiently as I think it should work, and then identify why that is, and then go look at the technology, right? Because the technology is doing a job. It's not, you don't adopt technology for technology's sake, right?
No, and it does take a while to, talking about adapting to technology, it takes a while to transition. Like, how many people years ago had the voice recorders for your business phones, or even your home, and you actually push the button to listen to the recording, and then you could rewind the tape and listen to it again? Now those are gone. So for me, I have voicemail, but mine's all digital, and so it turns it into text, and then I can respond to it through text or email. And boy, has that changed.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is exactly what you're saying, improve our workflow, and then being able to feel like it's an extension of the business. So we need to be able to have something that's very clean and transparent, that it is an app that we're using, but it's not a clunky, more segregated system. Because boy, isn't it easy to just say, here, I've got an app that will solve that, and all you did was just add a layer of complexity.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think that, we're talking about the app actually connecting to QuickBooks, but talking about the partnership with the app, they should also feel like a member of your team, right?
Yes.
So it's important that you have that close relationship, and that you feel like if something were to, I don't want to say go wrong, but if you have a bump in the road, that you know exactly who to reach out to, and they make you feel like you can reach out to them, and they're going to be responsive, right? So having somebody that, having a partner that you can depend on, and that that when there's an issue that's going to arise, that they have your back. And it goes both ways, right? As a partners, it's not one-sided. It's not what they can do for you always. It's also what can you do for them, right? And that's where we're basically bringing clients, and we're building a team to service our clients and bring, that big business functionality to our small business clients. And I think that's really where technology is really, helping to level the playing field, right? So some
Definitely.
of the, like CRMs, it used to be that only large businesses could afford a CRM. And a CRM can be a game changer for the sales process of a small business.
And have you had those clients where, so I have sometimes somebody will call and they'll say, all right, we need to have a new system. And we had somebody come in and they programmed all of this for us. And I don't know that you can find a solution like this one. And then you go and look at this legacy system and you're like, okay, yeah, this will be easy to get a replacement tool. And really it did depend on years ago, how good was your programmer? How much were you willing to spend on developing a system? And now it's like, these app partners, they get it, that we need all of these solutions, and they've designed them, and now we just have to plug them into even our little businesses.
And what I love to see now, and I'm seeing this quite a bit, is that our app partners are starting to partner with each other. Intuit, of course, partners with, ADP and there's over 500 apps on the App Store, but also, ADP actually partners with T-Sheets and other app partners so that you can integrate the entire tech stack, right?
I love that. That is something that, especially whenever we're on our side of it, somebody will reach out to be on the show and they'll say, and we're really good buds with so-and-so, so we could do something together. That's amazing to see that these apps are reaching out across the different solutions. And even, so we'll have, a conversation with Locate later, but one of the things that Locate does is they help you to make sure that you're in the right inventory solution.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not the perfect fit for you, they actually will help guide you to somebody who is. And isn't that unique?
That is unique. Absolutely. No, I love that.
Yep. So all of these apps are allowing us to do things that we can't store in our heads.
We can't commute
So
fast enough.
whenever you're talking about the original computers, it's like those things were gigantic, and so they didn't really do much true advanced technology work. But now we've got, I mean, if I'm holding my phone and I'm thinking about the computer size that's just in my phone, that's just, it's grown to the point that there's no way that we could do everything that our little mini phone computers could do.
Definitely. And I think what it is, you know, we're at the point now, I was actually watching for my master's class, I was watching a video on artificial intelligence, and I actually should share this out with our community, because the gentleman that was on the podcast was from Microsoft, the Microsoft Azure team. And he was explaining how AI works and how it's basically the hive mind, right? That when you do, for example, the example that he gave was when you're teaching a computer or, you know, AI to recognize characters, you don't just put one character in there, like an A, right? You wouldn't just upload one A and say, hey, computer, that's an A. You actually upload a whole bunch of A's that are written by a bunch of different people. And then what happens with the artificial intelligence is it looks at all of those examples that you called A, and it finds the common denominator across all of them, the common qualities, and that's how machine learning works. It was really interesting because that's what's happening now, is that, you know, as the accounting experts or tax experts or workflow experts, we're actually able now to leverage technology with this artificial intelligence to have them do even more of the heavy lifting. So it's more than just calculating, right? It's actually problem solving. It's it's going beyond that initial calculator that we had way back when, right?
Yep.
But it's really interesting.
It's processing. It's doing more than we could ever do on our own.
Right.
Truly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like you said, taking that information and going even further with it.
Yep.
Making predictions. Yeah. You know, whenever you think about the machine learning, it really is absolutely fascinating. And the machines, they don't get tired and they don't need a break. They just keep on churning.
Right. Yep. Definitely.
So what about goals and apps? So being able to use our apps to be able to help us with a goal alignment. So what you were just talking about, taking that data and doing more than just calculations with it, they can actually help us plot out our goals to get where we're going. So checklists that's inside there, and even some of the apps. I know you have some reporting apps that you really like. So
definitely. And I think that even beyond, I think, how am I going to say this? So one of the things that I find in an apps partner that I love, or a good apps partner, is they'll ask you what your goals are. What is the goal of your firm? What direction are you looking to go? What are the priorities of your firm? What are the skill sets of your employees? And they want to know holistically about your firm because they really do want to be that partner. And those are also the partners that are going to recommend their other app partner buddies, because they'll see that you have maybe a gap in functionality in your own tech stack, and they'll lead you to that additional solution. So they really are stepping in as a partner and looking at your overall firm goals to help you, attain them. So.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of the fun things about using some of those apps that you can put in your goals is that, some of them have even the reporting tools that have the sliders to be able to say, if I change just a little bit, what would my outcome look like?
Right. Well, other examples, for example, we're going to see when, Erin, when you do your demonstration in a little bit, we're going to see all the tools that ADP provides to accountants, like the digital master tax guides that are related to payroll, but they're really fitting a need that's kind of outside of the payroll functionality that they're bringing as far as the app. So as a good partner, they're actually giving us additional tools to help us fill in gaps that we, especially as small practitioners that can't afford big giant CCH and Thomson Reuters products, giving us tools that are really, really helpful to other parts of our practices. Another example is Practice Ignition. They were offering a bunch of webinars on Zapier training to help people understand how to automate and basically, create automated workflows between the apps they were already using, which is above and beyond, creating engagement letters and recurring invoices for your clients, recurring billing. It's really stepping in and helping holistically with your practice and being a great partner to help you achieve your goals and also to help your clients achieve their goals.
Exactly. Reaching out to your clients too. It's funny that you say Practice Ignition, because I've been looking at them here lately, just internally for a CRM, and they have a lot of integration options. So it doesn't surprise me that they just had a Zapier set of webinars and resources for that, because one of the things that they do is they integrate with MailChimp, and they integrate with your email, they integrate with your website. They do all kinds of really cool integrations, and that's now important whenever we're talking about that segregated system.
Right.
We need something that does talk to each other across all platforms. We were talking about that just a couple weeks ago.
We were.
Yep.
Right.
So it's just kind of that same continuation that, we're not just getting an app because we need it to solve one function. We get these apps because we have an area that has a need, but that area sometimes crosses over. So that's
absolutely. And that's what we're looking for from a partner, is for them to anticipate our needs. Right. And to step in and offer a solution before maybe even realize that we need one. That's definitely a great partner, one that can do that.
And, must have been thinking this whenever I added this, because the clunky systems, that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Get rid of the clunky systems. Even accounting firms that are still using paper, it's make some small steps, start using something like ShareFile or SmartVault to start parking your passwords, and then using something to get out of doing payroll with manual payroll. It's funny whenever I hear somebody say that they're still actually manually calculating it. It's like, wow.
That makes me a little sad, because I just think of all the errors that they're going to make when they accidentally transpose a number, and then they're going to have to file an amended return or write another check to somebody, and it doesn't have to be hard.
Well, we used to do that though, and we would make the little adjustments that we needed to.
Right. But we don't. Yeah. No. It's amazing. There are people out there that are still doing that, and Excel. Even Excel. Excel is an amazing tool. But when you're trying to run your accounting system just using Excel spreadsheets, that can be really, that can be, you mess up one formula in an unprotected worksheet, and that can really throw off pretty much all of your data. So having something that's locked down in a nice, great, clean, beautiful user interface, and you're making sure that the quality and the reliability of that data is strong.
Well, and that goes into how the apps work, is that they've got a database that they're taking all of your information and pulling it into, and then they can do things with it. So that's part of the reason that you get rid of the clunky systems. Yep. Where if we're just doing Excel, that's just one flat way to look at the data. But, with you using some of these, I'm thinking of field service apps right now. And so if you think about the field service apps, they're able to help you schedule. They're able to push notifications to your client or to your techs.
Right.
And they can push notifications back to the office to say, hey, I'm finished. And so it's doing multiple things because it's a database that's holding all of that information.
Right.
Just part of why that machine learning, it's part of why that works so well, is that it can do multiple things with that data.
Right. Absolutely. I had to slip that in there.
Heather.
Sorry.
I love it. So quality support, oh my gosh, this definitely matters. An app can be fantastic, but if they don't have any support, or if, sometimes our apps are in growth phase too. And sometimes we hit them at a growth phase where they don't have enough support. And that's really hard to engage with those apps if they don't have somebody that can help us.
Yeah, one of the things that I do definitely when I'm vetting an app for myself or for a client is I'll do a test support, even if I don't really have a question, which I usually do anyway. I'll make one up because I want to see how quickly. So a couple of things that I look at, Liz, is how quickly do they respond to me? Do I wait 48 hours to get a response? And then I look at the tone of the response. So if I have a question, when they come back, do I feel like I'm imposing on them? Because there have definitely been times where I've sent out, a question about something, and either the response I get back has the tone of, you didn't know that? Where I feel bad, and I'm like, okay. Or they,
No
or they,
response.
they're dismissive. That where it's clear to them that I'm imposing or they're too busy or something. And I as an accounting professional, I'm not going to recommend that app to my client because I want them to have a good experience. And whatever I'm recommending to them is a reflection on me. That's how I feel. And so if I recommend a particular app and they don't treat my client well, or my client doesn't get good customer service, then I feel partially responsible for that.
I agree. And
Yeah.
we have all of our accountants that are on board with this right now. So I just kind of throw this into the Q&A. It's like, what makes a great app partner to y'all? What are the things that you're looking for? Is it support? And another thing with support is, where are they located? So they can have really great support, but if you can't get them on the phone with you, if you need to do phone support, do you have a time zone issue?
Yeah.
So they're located in New Zealand and you're in the United States. Is that an issue, or does that mean that you just go and look to make sure they have good resources?
Definitely. Jim's saying, it's all in the help documentation, right? Oh, you can find it in help, or they send you an article that then you have to read. Sometimes it's really nice to just get on the phone with somebody and do a screen share.
I agree. Because
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it just made me think of how many times have I run into a roadblock and I get as far as I possibly can with all of the help resources. And then I get the tech on the phone. They say, can we do a screen share? And it's just one little button, but it's not documented anywhere. So yeah, every once in a while, it is nice to be able to do a screen share.
What I'm finding is some of the chat support, they're encouraging that you take screenshots of your video videos of your screen. And that actually is helpful. So I don't even mind that. So Zapier, is one of my favorite apps. You will never get Zapier on the phone. As far as I know, I've never had them on the phone. But they give you detailed instructions. So if I send a question, first of all, I'll hear back from them typically no longer than 15 minutes. And when they get back to me, they'll say, okay, well, can you take a video of what you're doing? Oh, excuse me. And then somebody's calling me. And then, so let's just say send a video of what you're doing. So I'll just do, a snipping. You can use your snipping tool to take the video, or you can use something like Snagit, or I use Cloud App. There's Loom out there. And then if you go ahead and, take the video and send it to them, then they'll respond right back to you. And so that seems to work well. I haven't had that feeling. I mean, that feeling when you feel like you're not getting good support. I've never felt that way, but I honestly have never been on the phone with them. So they're doing something right, even without having telephone-based support.
Phone support.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually like the chat support. So whenever I see that that's an option, I like it. And I feel like my question either gets answered quickly because it's just a low tech question, or it gets escalated faster.
Right.
So I'm a fan of the chat support.
I like chat support too. I mean, I like it too because it is quick. And Lisa's sharing that she says top priority in an app partner's instant access to speak to someone immediately. And she qualified that that's chat support if she gets an answer. But if not, then she wants to be able to pick up the phone. And I agree. And I think that a lot of our even really popular app partners haven't quite figured that out yet. I'm not going to name names, but there's certain app partners out there that, could do a little better job of that. And
I agree. And the next statement that's on here is meet us where we're at. So that's another part of it too. So, there's some apps that we've been using over and over for years and years and years, and we know all the tricks. We, pretty much think. but every once in a while we run into like, here's a little snag. And so if we're onboarding somebody, we don't want to go through all of the 101, here's how. It's like, just address this one question that we have. But also the flip is true. So there's sometimes whenever I'm engaging with a brand new app and I know nothing about it. So having somebody say, do you want us to handle training for you? That's great.
Yeah.
My favorite is whenever I have an app that says, we do all of the onboarding, but we want you there because you're going to know client scenarios and you're going to know QuickBooks issues more than we are. So it's a partnership. That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that always has the best onboarding experience.
Definitely.
But
Erin, from a developer or an app partner side of things, what makes a great accountant partner?
So, I mean, it's a great question. The number one element that we've seen that makes a great, partner, especially in the accounting community, is feedback. And I don't think there are many accountants out there that are too shy to give feedback. But it's a gift in our world. I'll talk more about it when we get into the Accountant Connect application. But we don't design anything today without soliciting that feedback first, because we could sit here and think in a vacuum of what we believe is great, but unless that's validated by the market itself and then fine-tuned by the same cohort, we're probably not going to deliver anything that's going to be utilized, which is really the intention of why we spend all the time making things happen.
I think it's a great point. So feedback, you have to sometimes go live with a scenario and then get the feedback and adjust.
And from the accountant side, when our feedback is acknowledged, that's always that's something that I really love, is that you send feedback and somebody says, you know what, that's a great idea, or that's interesting feedback, or I hear what you're saying and I'm going to forward it on to somebody, a product manager or something. When I get that email, I feel heard. And so I think that's also just to say to our app developer friends out there, is just a quick email to say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to forward it on to a team that will hear that. That always makes me feel like that's a really great partner.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and Kylie was just sharing, Kylie, who's going to be with us next month in person, so excited, from Locate, is saying you're building a new team with each incoming client and their partners. And so it's just important to have that feedback and work as a team, for sure.
Definitely. So, another reason to engage with these apps is growth. And so, Locate's another really good example of, you can't track inventory in Excel forever. So you've got to get out of that. And these apps are out there because they're using all this machine learning and artificial intelligence. They're able to help us with growth phases. Yeah. That's what a lot of the clients that I get is, they're in transition, they're in flux, their systems, they've now sized out, and they're looking for new tools to help them with that new growth phase.
That's one of the things I love about, Erin, I know you're going to talk about your model. I love the fact that you have different models to work with accountants. So you've understood that it's not one size fits all. Right? That every firm has different needs, and you guys are able to step in a bunch of different, or in several different ways, to help meet those needs. So which I think is brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, keep it going.
Well, this goes into that too. So,
I've interrupted flow.
No, not at all.
Conversation. It's like, we're just posting conversation topics, because these are all issues that we accountants have.
Right.
What I was going to try to say is it's about choice too. Like we just live in an era where buyers and consumers are looking for choice, and if you only have one choice, even if it's the right choice, it sometimes comes across as very myopic. And I think ADP has been very conscious of that. And again, feedback from the people that we interact with on a frequent basis is to enable choice from our consumers and from their, clients, which are either, the business owner or the employees of those business owners. And, when you start to think at those different levels and create as much choice as possible within reason, it just enables a better experience between the vendor and whoever they're serving.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that sometimes, even if it's the right choice, if they don't feel like they have one, they do feel boxed in.
They do.
Yep.
And you know, whenever you have the different choices, it allows you to think through the different scenarios on which one fits you best.
For sure.
Yep.
And you say that all the time, Liz, and when we're talking about implementation, I tend to say, I'm going to tell the client what to use. And you always say, nope, I'm going to involve my client in that decision, because that gives them ownership of it and it gets them to have buy-in. And that's true.
And, you know, the thing that happens is whenever they start engaging with the app too, then that means that if there's any points where they go, the app doesn't quite fit us, or we're going to have a workaround, they're going to know that better than I would, because I'm engaging with them at a growth phase. That means that they're not always my existing client.
Right.
So there's internal things that happen that I don't always know, but if they're engaged with the app implementation with me, then they are more proactive.
Right.
Yep. So apps for also more than just financial needs. And, you know, that's the thing that you just were highlighting is, Erin, you were saying the flexibility. And I think that that's also key. So being able to show where you can grow and how you can use the app. And then assessing business risk. That's part of, you know, one of the things that we can engage our apps for. With ADP here, one of the things that you do is some HR. So being able to help in areas that we don't, just as CPAs and accountants, we don't have all of the access to. So helping in more than just one area.
Yes, I mean, I would say with ADP, there are two extremes where, you know, on one extreme, we want to stay as close to our core as humanly possible, where I think, you know, the tyranny of a good brand, which is definitely what ADP has, that we're known for our payroll, and we want to stay as close to that as humanly possible. You know, a lot of things intertwine with that between HR and different retirement opportunities, and, you know, we can go on, but there's also the other extreme where you can get too far away from your core, and that's why ADP has divested, you know, some of the ventures that we've gotten into over the years that really haven't stuck that close to what makes us what has gotten us 70 years worth of experience within the market. So I think we've tested it, you know, a couple of times, and just in our world, you know, staying as close to what we feel is, you know, what our strengths are, is what will define us moving forward.
And we actually appreciate that. So whenever we're engaging with apps, we actually really like it whenever you say to us, these are the things that I specialize in, and this is an area that you might need some additional resources, or we've got a light version of that. I mean, it actually helps us to create the workflow whenever there's good communication there.
Right.
Yeah. That's why we've created our own marketplace, because we understand that we're more than most, but we're not everything to everyone. So, you know, we had to get to a point where we were open and started to create open accessibility to our technology stack, opening up opportunities for other, you know, call it masters of their domain, to build the proper applications to serve the client that will then, you know, interact with our applications as well.
I think that that's exactly what it is, that, you know, whenever Heather was talking about being an extension of the business, that's exactly the thing that we're looking for, is tell us what you do, tell us what you don't do, tell us who are your best clients, tell us those things. And that way it helps us be empowered.
Right.
To be able to, you know, help you, help us, because that's the whole reason that you're here, is you're helping us to achieve a goal. And, you know, we've already got the clients, so knowing that there's this good partnership there, it's great for both of us.
Right. I think it's time for a toast, Liz.
Me too.
And then I want to see ADP run and Accountant Connect. I'm super excited.
Okay, so our drink for the day is really good. So the sweet vodka, we were talking about this earlier. You laughed.
Mine looks just like the picture. It looks.
Oh my gosh. It really does.
It looks just like the picture.
It really, really does. You have the lime and the cherry.
Oh, I know.
Oh man. Okay, so mine's everything except for I don't have the lime and the cherry. I have mint. So I went more the mint direction. with my sweet tea vodka. And we were talking about earlier, which sweet tea vodkas do we use? And I poured some Seagrams in there, so.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So Erin, everybody
Yeah.
wants to know Henry Taub. So this is a variation of the Arnold Palmer, but renamed for Henry Taub. Am I not pronouncing that right?
No, you're pronouncing it perfectly.
Oh, great. So can you tell everybody who Henry is?
Sure. So Henry Taub and the Taub brothers were actually the founders of ADP. I think it's a common misnomer that Frank Lautenberg was the founder. He was actually our first CEO. He's actually also the first salesperson, but the Taub brothers were the two individuals that in Paramus, New Jersey, decided to create a streamlined approach to doing payroll, literally out of a garage. So, true American story. And grew it to a Fortune 250 organization that I'm proud to be a part of today. And that's who the gentleman is that you're, I guess, in spirit of Henry Taub, making a toast to him.
Cheers.
Yep.
Cheers to Henry, the Taub brothers.
I really feel like I'm missing out. I definitely did not plan this well sitting in my office taking it. So, well, in spirit, this is to Henry.
We'll get a Henry Taub in Salt Lake City, Erin, because we're going to be there. We'll go get a Henry Taub, and we can all have one together.
And you're just representing the people in our audience that don't always have alcohol. So you did it intentionally, is what I'll say.
That is true. That is true.
We're in different time zones, so some people that join us, they're early morning Hawaii. I think they're AM, so they're probably drinking their water and coffee too.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? In some places, it's 5 a.m.
That is true.
Yeah. So
All
true.
right.
So, yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to you and Erin and say, you just tell me when you want me to advance, and I will just take your cue.
Well, we had a question. So before you dive in, we have one question. We ask everybody this question. So before you dive in, can you tell us what is the perfect customer for ADP? What is the perfect customer when we're talking to our clients? Who's that perfect customer?
So I promise every listener on this call, and Heather, you could testify to this, is that when we were actually going through a little bit of a rehearsal and preparation for today's call, you would ask this question, and if you actually want to move it over to the next slide, what makes the perfect customer has been something, and not me, I don't make the perfect customer. Clark, EVP of a contract, yeah. But what actually makes the perfect customer has been something that I think ADP has been considering how we actually go to market and define that for our buyers, our consumers, because I mentioned it a minute ago in regards to the tyranny of a good brand. I think for far too often we have just been perceived as, just a payroll company, or that we only serve the larger audience. And the reality is we serve a lot wider of a demographic than that. And if you weren't necessarily reading the news in relation to ADP, about 2 months ago, we had done, in the first time in our 70-year history, a 360 brand campaign. And it was actually at South by Southwest where we did this entire relaunch and, some new ways that we're going to market and changing the narrative, because the perfect customer for us is really anybody that's out there that has a goal and wants to improve their business. And we've enabled this hashtag of #working for. And we're asking companies out there, like, what are you working for? Because it's not typically just the dollar. It's something more. There's something more at the core of why you got into business or why you're looking to grow your business. And we're really here, and we serve any client, whether it's a one-employee organization or an enterprise size organization, to basically get there faster through our technology and through our solution set and through our service that we bring to market. So our perfect client, our desired client, is anybody that has a goal out there of what they're working for, and in partnering with ADP to help get there.
Yeah,
I love that.
It is. That's exactly what we want to hear. That's exactly the, even going as far as saying that you get it, that our small business owners are we have to meet them wherever they're at.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like it that your mission is here to support us, and we're supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And I think the one piece that you see up at the top is, and it goes without saying, but we're always designing for people, and the people has changed over time, where it was typically just the end user and the client themselves, but I think the people that we're also starting to serve are more at the employee level, where we have close to 30 million users of our ADP mobile application, and we have people that are interacting through that application at a clip of over 1,000 interactions per minute. So I think we're always designing, different ways that we can allow organizations to focus on what they do best, so that way, they can ultimately achieve what they're, hashtag working for.
That's a mind-boggling number. So, that's interesting. So you're saying those are the number of people who are employees who are directly connecting through the app, or?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that's nice that means that it's user-friendly. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that many engagements.
I mean, super user-friendly. We were one of, if not the very first, payroll HCM providers to develop an application for the end user, so that way I could access my pay statements. I can make changes to any of my withholdings. I could view my retirement information. I mean, I can go on and on. I don't want to make this too much of an ADP app, application commercial, but the reality is that, again, the designing element of what we're going to market for has transcended not just the client that's processing the payroll, but the employees that the payroll is actually ending up in the hands of.
Yeah, because the employee, the end results is they want to be able to know how much time off do they have, how much have they paid in taxes. Those are the kinds of things at year end that they want to know.
Yeah, and in this very tight labor market, when you think about, I as a employee and the organization that I want to go work for, if I don't have some of these assets at my disposal, those are some of the differentiators when it comes to attracting and retaining top talent, is how you engage with your employees, and not necessarily just the compensation that you go to market with. And the ways that we're trying to bridge those particular two elements together are through the technology aspects that we bring to market.
Well, how many times is it our clients, the employees, that are actually asking us questions? So they need to get a new loan, and they want to know, what are their earnings to date? And so being able to be empowered is what you're telling me, is that they're able to go find some of that information out themselves.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I love that. Yeah.
So in continuing on that theme of designing for the individuals that we serve, if you flip over to the next slide, this is where it gets applicable to the accountant community, because we mentioned it earlier, that flexibility, the choice that we bring to the community that we serve within the accountant industry. What we've heard through, just countless hours of solicitation and different councils that we put together, is that a lot of the market falls into these three buckets. And the first one is, I want to have payroll to be part of my go-to-market strategy. However, the nuances and the risk that's associated with payroll, with the ever-changing regulations and the time constraints that are applied to it, is something that I'm not necessarily waking up in the morning excited to. So how can I partner with an organization like ADP, where I'm utilizing their infrastructure and their technology, but to my clients, I am still the front-end, forward-facing payroll institution to round out the suite of services that I go to market with to complement the tax, the audit, and all the other, advisory or consultative solutions that they want to offer, and having payroll be a part of that. So we created a wholesale model for our partners to enable them to, again, expand the suite of solutions into the payroll and HR world, but mitigating that risk that's typically associated with it, and putting that on our shoulders at ADP from a depositing and a filing perspective. The next one are firms that don't necessarily have the bandwidth to explore or to be a part of a payroll type of offering. However, they've recognized that by not doing payroll, they're potentially cutting out a revenue stream for their organization that is sometimes hard to cope with. So we understand that it's an honor and a privilege to get the referrals or to work with one of our accountants' clients, and that they're entrusting us with a huge portion of what makes their business successful. So in order to kind of round out that gap of giving away revenue to a partner such as ADP, knowing that I'm potentially giving away revenue for my own firm, we've created ways to round that out for our firms where we've shared that revenue back. So that way they can either invest it into their people, into their firm, into their own, personal arena, whether that's, for profitability or for charity. But we've created, that mechanism to kind of, reduce some of the strain of just outsourcing payroll holistically. And then the last one, really based on a lot of what's taking place in the market today with a population of firms and accountants that are looking for succession plans, is an opportunity for us to evaluate what that payroll and HR is worth from segmenting and parsing out that piece of their organization. So that way when it comes time for them to take the next step of whether it's just getting out of the payroll industry altogether, or again that succession plan as they move into the next phase of their life, we do that valuation to allow them to see what that asset's worth and potentially acquire that book of business as well. So those are the three main elements of how we're designing flexibility for how we interact with our accountant partners, and obviously open to any questions that either of you have.
No, I like it. So the wholesaling, that just makes me think if that's your traditional accounting firms or bookkeeping practices. And so, yep. That would make complete sense. And then that revenue share, that's where, a lot of the project type work. So you're setting up payroll for somebody, but maybe it's just you're in a phase of like what I do and Heather does. Sometimes it's just project based. Or you can even use that second one for reoccurring. So you have clients that are reoccurring, but you want to have ADP handle the payroll. So did I get that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And then that last one's really unique. So you're saying when the business is ready to phase out, you can buy just the payroll piece. Is that?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. That's very forward thinking.
It is. I love the flexibility of it because you can do it on your own terms, right?
This is the choices you were talking about. Yes. This is part of it.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. And the nice thing is it doesn't have to be one or the other, where we have certain firms where wholesale potentially for their down market clients makes sense, but for some of my mid or call it higher need clients that potentially could take up a little bit more of my time as it relates to payroll and HR, I could then take advantage of the revenue share option. So again, just giving the client or in this case, the accountant that flexibility to partner with us as they see fit.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've seen a couple of the chat items there. Humbling to hear the excitement around Accountant Connect. So if you want to turn the page here, I'll get into some of the recent evolutions that we've brought to market through Accountant Connect. And I would say that Accountant Connect is really the testament of a lot of the main elements that you were discussing earlier, specifically around gaining feedback from the particular population that's going to be using this application. And 2 or 3 years ago, our president, John Ayala, decided to fly in accountants from all over the country and bring them out here to New Jersey and ask them very specifically, how can we make the interactions with your firms more productive and actually bring more value through this type of relationship as it pertains to an accountant and a payroll HCM provider. And they sat there for 2 straight days and whiteboarded all the different ways that they felt they could benefit from an application designed specifically for them. And if you flip the page, we came out with Accountant Connect. And in 2 years, we have over 50,000 accountants across the country that have accessed this application. They produced over 2 million reports through this application, and we continue to invest. And I heard earlier about getting the feedback and being able to make adaptations to any application. And I would say this is a testament to what ADP's goal is when it comes to new technologies that we bring to market, because we have a team specifically to hear the feedback and be nimble enough to make the changes. And for a large organization, it's not always the easiest thing to pivot on the dime when somebody gives you feedback or they have a request. But within this application, there's actually a feedback button at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's literally a feedback element of this application where you can click right there and give us feedback, and it goes direct to the developers of this application. And actually at QuickBook Connect, where Liz, you and I initially met, we actually had our designers at the booth itself. So as people were coming up and learning about Accountant Connect, they were giving us instant feedback, and our developers were taking copious notes. So if we flip the page, these are called the core 3 areas that we focused on. So number 1 was easy access to data and instantly, no matter where you are at any place at any time. If I need, whether it's payroll reports, whether it's quarterly tax filings or W-2 information, I'm able to aggregate that data with a click of a button. I also have to connect multiple applications, especially when it comes to GL for my clients, as I help them, for the bookkeepers that are out there, navigate through an ADP, a QuickBooks, or any of the other accounting softwares. And we've developed, and you'll see in a minute, we've further enhanced the experience when it comes to GL setup and mapping. Consultative and advisory type solutions that the accountant industry is bringing to market. We wanted to be able to complement that with, through this application, Accountant Connect. And I'll talk more about our compensation benchmarking data powered by ADP Data Cloud, the partnership through CCH that we bring through this application, amongst other resources when it comes to calculators, tax forms, and just useful information that we have, again, receive feedback from the accountant population of what would be beneficial to me if you were to take all of the things that I typically scour the ends of the internet for and compress it into one application that I could access anywhere. So I'll pause there for a second because that seems like a little bit of a data chart. So any questions for you?
I don't think so. So you mean advance to the next one?
If you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
So this is where, when you log into this application, and again, it actually has responsive design. So whether or not you were at a native desktop or you were doing this from a mobile device or a tablet, the application will respond in kind. But this is where you can actually pull reports, whether it's in batch form, whether or not you're pulling the same report from multiple clients. And I think one of the coolest features, based on an audience where accountants are typically busy individuals, especially during certain parts of the year, where you can schedule these reports to run automatically. So that way, if you need a report and you're going to walk in on Monday morning, that report is updated, it's refreshed with live information the second that you open up the application on a Monday. So the reports and tax forms is probably where the genesis of this idea stemmed from, when it came to how we can interact better with the accountants, especially access to the payroll information that they need to infuse into their general ledger or their accounting system overall. So that takes us to our next one, which is something that we're super excited about, where, say about 2 years ago, conversation started with Intuit around the market share that we actually had together. And when you put it in perspective, ADP and QuickBooks had collectively about 500,000 mutual clients together. And the experience that we were going to market with when it came to how somebody could take information from QuickBooks or ADP's run application and transpose that into the general ledger wasn't necessarily something that we were putting up on our refrigerator at the end of the day. And we put together a ton of collective efforts on both sides where we wanted to improve that, and we're proud, and we've had a couple of publications that have come out recently talking about the new GLI experience specifically for QuickBooks Online, but this is going to accelerate into QuickBooks Desktop amongst other accounting softwares. But today, what you can experience is, and you look at these these sequence of step processes. Number one is you would click on what general ledger accounting software that you would have. In this case, it's QuickBooks Online. You would then put in your login credentials. And with the next click of a button, it's actually going to automatically map your chart of accounts for you within the Run application. And in this particular iteration, as an accountant, I can actually do that through Accountant Connect for each one of my independent clients that has QuickBooks Online. If you go over to the next page, this is where it actually allows you to ensure that the mapping came over correctly, but you don't need to type in anything manually. This is, for the most part, just the checks and balances that you'd be going through. Slide 4A is if you wanted to get a little bit more granular and set up things at a department or employee level, you could do so. And then once you're done, by step 5, your GL is set up and you're good to go. And again, your clients actually had the flexibility to do this themselves. However, what we found, and again, the feedback that we've heard from the accountants is they feel a lot more confident if they have control and if they have accessibility to help their client, just not do it completely within their firm. And through Accountant Connect, you actually have the accessibility based on your customer's authorization to not just access their payroll and reports, but also have the accessibility to go in there and set up their QuickBooks Online GL interface through Accountant Connect as well. So if you click one more time, this is the final stage where once you go in and you process your payroll, it'll automatically tell you that the GL is ready to post. And with a click of a button, your client's payroll transaction is in QBO immediately. So this has been something that's been a tremendous undertaking for both organizations, but we understood that the end game that we were trying to accomplish here was to create an experience for our mutual clients and for the future clients that we'll share that really helps streamline the gaps between our two organizations and really kind of brings us back full circle to how you got this conversation started earlier with what the intention of applications are today, which is filling in gaps and making things easier for the end user. So I'll pause there for a second before we get to the the last couple of slides here.
Yeah, I would just say, Erin, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and one of the reasons I love the general ledger integration, is that it's so flexible in the way you bring the data in. So the screenshot we see there is showing, it's pretty simple, but I love the fact that you can bring in the level of detail that you require. So if you can map different general ledger accounts to different employees, to different departments, and then you can choose to either bring in one journal entry for the entire company that hits all the appropriate general ledger accounts and ties out to the reports, or you can have it brought in on a register level so that it's actually showing each individual paycheck. So I love that flexibility because every client has a different need, but through one integration application, we're able to tailor it to our client's specific needs, which makes it scalable. It makes it flexible enough to meet all of our clients' needs.
Exactly.
Sure.
And we had a live question. So Lisa asked a question and she said, when you're setting up the account under QBOA, do you have the ability to choose which client we're setting up? So yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I saw the question. I was so anxious to answer it. And
Okay.
So I mean, the other thing, Erin, that if we have existing ADP run clients, we can invite them into our Accountant Connect account. So for those of us that might be working with clients that are already using ADP run, we can just, because I did this with my own clients, you can set up your Accountant Connect dashboard, and then just like with QuickBooks Online Accountant, you send an invitation to your clients, and then they accept it. And once they accept the invitation, they're added to your Accountant Connect. So it's a very similar experience to when we're onboarding clients into QBOA, onboarding clients into Accountant Connect.
Yep.
So there's two ways for them to become one of our clients in our dashboard.
Yes.
Yeah. So that sounds very much like QuickBooks Online, which I bet was intentional.
And Lisa just said she loves that because most of our clients are already on ADP. So this is going to be a huge win for her.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you mean to advance to the next one?
Yeah, please. Yeah, I know we're getting up against the hour. So last couple of bullets here. I mentioned this earlier, but you know, in an effort to continue to complement, you know, the initiative of becoming more of an advisor and a consultant as an accountant, we decided in a you know, free of charge, and this is something that is not typically developed in that fashion, but we have been aggregating our data now for a long time, and this data is now accessible through Accountant Connect, where we have taken over 30 million employees across 90,000 organizations in over 200 industries and over 1,500 job types to allow an accountant, as I sit down with a business owner, to really make sure that the compensation that they're offering to their employees is aggressive enough to attract the right talent, to make sure that they're bringing in the right people at the front end, as well as ensuring that they're not overpaying people, so that way they're losing profitability out the back door either. And as they have clients that are moving into new states, as they have people that are, you know, taking on new job functions, what makes this data different than, you know, some of our other data, some of the other data sets that you might have access to is the sheer size and scope, but also the amount that it's refreshed, where we're actually refreshing this data every single month. And in most cases, a lot of data sets are actually refreshed, if not quarterly, in some cases annually. So, you know, we're really excited to bring this out there in an effort to really show our value to the firm, so that way they can show their value to their clients as well. The next one, as we turn the page, is the partnership through CCH. And this is where I know you had mentioned it before, so I appreciate the tee up with the Master Tax Guide, state guides in all 50 states. The Tax Reform Library was a new addition through CCH, especially with all the inquiries that come around that particular legislation that seems to be ever changing. Key facts and figure cards when it comes to just federal tax rates, as well as all different news and announcements with the changing legislation and regulatory environment that most of our accountants are looked at as the subject matter experts for. But just in case they need that additional support, this is accessible online in a mobile fashion, so that way if they're sitting at their client site, you know, they can pull up this information with a click of a button. And then the last one that we'll talk about here is our CP Link Learning System. And when we think about ways that firms and accountants are looking to digest, you know, their continuing professional education, you know, again, we wanted to touch on that element of flexibility. So whether it's a national webinar, which we typically do at least 2 to 3 a month, whether it's a group live session where we could actually come in and present to your firm, whether it's a 1-employee firm or a 10 or 200 employee firm, we're more than welcome to actually bring out, you know, our organization to your organization to help facilitate them. And last but not least, there are a slew of on-demand courses, whether we offer hundreds of them that are complimentary, as well as discounted CP courses through CCH as well. So all of this information, and I probably missed a couple along the way, but just in the premise of time, these are all accessible through our Accountant Connect application. And again, we're always looking for feedback to see what else we've either missed or what else we can enhance. But our goal, if you go over to the last page, is to continue to design things, because we're always working for you. So that's our little slogan at the end there, and you know, more than welcome to answer any last questions that we have before we close up.
Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put up, I want to make sure I'm not muted, put up our poll. So for our viewers, if you would like to have Aaron reach out to you to learn more about ADP, run an Accountant Connect, and how to get signed up, if you could just answer that poll, I will forward along your information to Aaron, and he can reach out to you after the webinar. So yeah, so this is awesome. One of the other tools, you may have mentioned it, if so I missed it, was the calculators. So you have all those calculators, so I can do you can gross up the payroll. So if you want to figure out what the net check is, and then you can do the gross pay calculator. There's a 401k calculator, 403b calculator, all kinds of really great free calculators in there too. So.
Yeah.
I like the customized report. So that was one of the things that I had looked at while we were at QuickBooks Connect, because, you know, the conferences is a great time to look at all the software. And so being able to customize reports that reoccur year after year, like our audits, that's a big deal to us, because they take a long time to set up, and then being able to save it for the next time that you want to pull it is super helpful. And even apply it to multiple clients. So once you create that report, then you can use it for different clients, not just the one.
So Linda has a question. Is the Accountant Connect something you need to sign up for to use with an existing ADP Run account? And the answer to that is yes. So if you're not on the Accountant Connect product, you would need to sign up for that. It is free, Linda. So you can sign up for it. And then what you would do is invite your clients that are using ADP Run. And you do that, you send that invitation right from within the Accountant Connect dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead and close out that poll. You're welcome. Great.
That's nice.
Well, thank you, Erin. We have a couple of housekeeping slides, and then we're gonna wrap up. We have the coolest thing that we did this month, which we actually had the opportunity to train together last week in Philadelphia and Washington. So it's not very often, since Liz is in Oklahoma and I'm in Rhode Island, that we actually get to be together for a week. So it was really nice to do that. And also for all of you, we're on the road. So we are all over the country. You can sign up for live training, QuickBooks Online certification training at qbtrainingevents.com. We'd love to see you. I think the next time we're going to be together again, right, Liz? We'll be in Phoenix, Arizona, and we will be in San Diego, California, where we'll be joined by Kylie from Locate. Very excited.
Very cool.
It's going to be a really fun Appy Hour, which our next Appy Hour is actually going to be on a Thursday at 4. It's a Thursday at 4 rather than Tuesday at 4.
So that way we can be live together. Because that's like going to be the first time ever. So we're going to we're super excited.
So we'd love to see all of you. If Liz and I, that's the next week we're traveling together, but we're also doing other cities individually. So I think there's almost 40 cities that we're visiting this spring.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of training.
Yeah.
Core training and advanced training. And, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to forward us slides to talking about those live events, and also to say that we will be at Scaling and have a live episode at Scaling as well.
Right. So that's going to be on Tuesday during the afternoon exhibit hall session from 3. We're going to start around 3:30. We'll go for about 40 minutes. And then later on, and we're gonna have great guests on our show. So Jeannie Whitehouse is going to be joining us.
Amazing. She's fantastic.
Yes. We also have
Annie Terry is going to be joining us.
And we have where's my list? I have my list.
So we have ADP that's going to be joining us.
Yep,
and
we have ADP. Yep. We have Jennifer Brazier and Sean Duncan are going to join us, and they're both partners with ADP. So they're going to be talking about their experience.
And I like it that they're going to be showing their side of it. So we'll be hearing from accountants like us how they're using it and what their user experience is like. So that can be fun. And then after the recording, then later on, while we're at Scaling, if you're joining us, be sure to go over to the Marriott Bar with us. We're going to have Penny Inc. is there, and they offered to give the first 50 people there a drink card, so that way you can buy a drink at the bar. So be sure we'll be posting some more information, so be sure to join us.
Yeah, and we'll be doing lots of impromptu Facebook Lives. I'm going to do a live demonstration of ADP's Run and Accountant Connect, ADP General Ledger and Accountant Connect during
Scaling.
Awesome. And then, thank you. And then we're also going to do a bunch of boomerangs. So if you want a boomerang with us, find Liz and I as we're walking around, and we'd love to do a boomerang with you.
Yes. Teaching lots of classes. So
we are doing a lot of classes. So so definitely register for one of our classes or more, and come find us. So
I love it. And we're at the bottom of 4. So I guess we'll just wave goodbye and wait. I can't wait to see my friends live. I love being
I know. I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Nick, behind the scenes. We're happy to have you guys on. This was a great session. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And sharing your insight. And thank you to all of our viewers for joining us today. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. So see you later. And don't forget our next episode, which is June 13th.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Liz. Bye.
Bye.